The word colonize is a double entendre. It can mean both the violent act of subjugating people or the growth of an infectious disease agent. My work looks at both. We all just went through a pretty significant pandemic. Some people were impacted more than others. We saw major disparities in infection rates and health outcomes in lower income communities, communities of color, and generally descendants of colonized people. This may be the first time that many of us noticed this, but it's not the first time that it's happened. One example, back in 1492, Columbus sailed the ocean blue, and he brought diseases that killed up to 90% of the indigenous population of the so-called New World. But the colonizers, not so much. They weren't as impacted by disease. Using ancient DNA, my project looks at the diseases in South America during this time period. We want to know, what diseases did the Spanish colonizers bring? How did this impact the indigenous population? And how did this time of violence and turbulent social changes impact the way the diseases acted and changed genetically over time? To do this, we get DNA from the tooth pulp of people who died during this time period. We usually use teeth because that's where DNA in the bloodstream is best protected after death. Ancient DNA research is hard to do, though. The DNA is usually badly preserved, and there's a lot of contamination from the environment. If the DNA in our bodies looks like this long party streamer, ancient DNA is more like dirty confetti mixed up at a dumpster. So, to deal with this, we have to wear special suits, like this, and use special methods all in a specialized clean room. But it would be deceptive to say that I'm doing this work alone. Aside from the many other scientists and archaeologists working on this project, we also try to work closely with descendant communities. We can't really go back and ask somebody who died 100 years ago, 200 years ago, if they consent. So asking their descendants is, quite frankly, the least we can do. It's also so important in this research that the questions descendant communities are interested in are what guide the research. Anything else is extractive and just perpetuates those colonial attitudes that got us in this mess in the first place. So we're doing cool work, but in my opinion, the most important part of my research is drawing that through line of the impacts of disease and colonization from then to today. In learning about how these diseases acted and changed in the past, we can connect them to our present and even look towards the future to better prepare for what comes next. Thank you.